136, Evan.
136. 4 more until 140. That's big. It's big. It's 10 more than 130. That's exciting.
Yeah, it's the number of subscribers we've lost so far. And
We've gained tons of subscribers. You know, we have Draven and 10,000 other people.
do you think Ben unsubscribed?
No, he did not.
I miss it.
Maybe we podcast too often and it's too much for people to handle. Yeah. I was waiting for the cough. Yeah, it's been a heavy week. You know, usually we come on here, we talk about Agatha, we talk about Penguin, and we're going to continue talking about those things today, because some great episodes dropped for both of these episodes, for both of these shows. We also had Venom that came out. I believe you saw it, right?
I did.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about Venom.
I saw a few movies.
The Last Dance. Oh, sweet. So we'll talk about that at the end of the podcast. But you know, doing the podcast, I always like taking notes about like some interesting movie news, and the past week had been pretty interesting. I was, you know, at work on my break. I'm like, oh, let me write this down. Let me write this down. So there's a couple of fun movie news to get into beforehand. Because again, I really liked the Penguin and Agatha stuff. But before we get to that, let's talk about some interesting stuff here. Starting off the week last week, we had the MCU dropping some new release dates, and you know, release dates are pretty boring, but I like playing the guessing game here with my old pal Nathan. So first off, Blade is gone, Nathan, which is about time, right? I mean, like, Nathan's like,
how hard is it?
Have you seen Smile 2 yet?
Yes, this is one of the things.
Okay, I was like, the whole water thing was like,
fucking
like good. Naomi Scott needs an Oscar just for drinking that many water bottles alone.
She did that multiple times in the movie, and you have to imagine that there were different takes.
Exactly, that's what Parker Finn, the director, said. He was like, "There's tons of takes where she just drank a lot of water, and it's not even it's on the cutting room floor. Like, it's crazy." And
that's it. You know, you can drink too much water.
You can drink, yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
That's
yeah, you got to keep a good balance. But so okay, so we had Blade removed from the schedule. It was supposed to come out November 2025. It is gone. In its place, we have Predator: Badlands, the next live-action film from Dan Trachtenberg. We'll talk about that in a second. But your news, your feelings on Blade here finally being gone. It's October. Like, if Blade was coming out next year, it would have had to been post. We should have been in filming by this point. If Blade was going to come out next year, but they still haven't found a writer or a director. One of those they still haven't found. And yeah, are you sad? No Blade next year. Next year is just going to be Fantastic Four, Thunderbolts, and Cap. 3 films next year. So what are your thoughts on this? Blade dead in the water here? Are we ever going to see it again?
You know, I hope. I like. I took a second to respond like it's a fucking like news broadcast. Like, thanks, John. We're out here on the water.
Yeah, you can give me 5 seconds. Yeah, I do it.
Do you see those bloopers where like the guy's waiting? He's like, "This fucking sucks." You fucking just said that. I like didn't realize like, fuck. Yeah.
It's great. I kind of love the news broadcast, guys. Respect the news.
Yeah, it's fucking losing it. Get back on topic though. What's the question?
What I say? I mean, yeah. You think we're ever see Blade again?
Right. God, I hope so, dude. Has anyone talked to Mahershala and asked him anything? Has he done anything to do press to ask him?
He has not, but like the big sign this year that Blade was probably not happening was his filming of Jurassic World, whatever it's called, coming out next year. New World Order, whatever it's called. I don't know what it's called.
Captain America, Jurassic World,
Jurassic World, Captain America, please.
asterisk.
That would be pretty cool. Asterisk. Which I think already finished filming, which was insane. There was a very fast turnaround for that movie. Directed by one Gareth Edwards, the Rogue One guy.
Yeah, the Godzilla guy.
But yeah, we saw Marshall Ali playing like a guy holding flares or whatever in the movie. But anyways, he filmed that. We're like, oh, I mean, like he's finally not filming something in. He's finally filming something and it's not in the MCU. That was a big sign that like, okay, Blade is not happening anytime soon. Which sucks. There were some rumors. I mean, you know, there's this guy on Twitter. What's his name? Like Alex something. You know what I'm talking about. The Marvel guy, Alex something. And he said Blade's not coming out this year because it's not connected, or next year because it's not connected to a multiverse plot line, and Marvel is prioritizing the multiverse so they can, you know, quickly end the multiverse saga after, or you know, with Secret Wars. But my argument was like, next year we have Cap, Thunderbolts, and Fantastic Four is like leaning towards multiverse because it's not in our world. But like Captain America and Thunderbolts have nothing to do with the multiverse saga. Blade coming out next year wouldn't have changed that, or even in 2026 wouldn't have changed that. Like 2026, we're getting into our year of like Avengers Doomsday, so it makes more sense that those films are going to be a bit more multiversal, even though, you know, we'll get to it with Spider-Man 4. You can make an argument that it doesn't have to be multiverse oriented, even though it might look like that way. So yeah, I'm just like, okay, even if it's not part of your current saga, you can still make a Blade movie. People don't care if it doesn't have to do with the multiverse. Marvel shouldn't care if it's not going directly with their current storyline. People just want to see a Blade movie. They'll pay money to go see a Blade movie. It's with Mahershala Ali. He's not like the most like profitable actor, but he's a very respectable actor, and people would love to see him in the role. And it's crazy how badly you know, the Blade stuff has aged. You know, the Eternals post-credit scene is very hilarious now, right? Like, are you ready, Mr. Whitman? Not happening.
It's coming.
It's coming.
Right next to my Eternals too. It's coming.
So that was pretty funny. And then, of course, the whole Wesley Snipes moment in Deadpool and Wolverine.
I had to double down on that.
Right.
I would hope like they could get something going, like, you know, a concept of just fun, spooky action adventure is not hard. Agatha's kind of spooky. You made that. You made a whole show. You made hours of that, and you know, just 2 hours of vampire violence. Like, come on.
Yeah. Sorry, I just had to send that tweet. So yeah, I'm with you, man. Like, I'm looking forward to some of this stuff here, or to Blade if we eventually see it. You know, other rumors are suggesting that we could see it in a Midnight Suns special movie or TV show. Apparently, Marvel is fast tracking the Midnight Suns. People have been saying Marvel is fast tracking Midnight Suns for years. I don't think Midnight Suns is happening anytime. I would love to be proven wrong, you know, but I don't think Midnight Suns is happening anytime soon. What's your fucking lineup for Midnight Suns? Are you just going to introduce Blade in it automatically? Like, boom, Blade's here before his own movie? It could happen.
Maybe.
But
I mean, just like off the bat, like I know Doctor Strange would be involved usually. You know, Moon Knight, probably pull Werewolf by Night guy, Man Thing from that as well. And, you know, yeah, Blade too. I think Punisher's in the comic lineup, so he's coming back in Daredevil, so you could grab him if you wanted.
work.
And, you know, if you wanted to get a Ghost Rider moving or bring back Robbie Reyes, that'd be cool.
Yeah, bring back Robert Reyes. Diego Luna is out there. I keep saying Diego Luna. Gabriel Luna. Gabriel Luna's out there doing good work on like The Last of Us, etc. So I would love to see him. You're right. You kind of proved me wrong there. There is a lineup to be had there if they don't want to do, like, you know, I don't think Moon Knight's getting a season 2, no matter what that post-credit scene was. So Moon Knight appearing in Midnight Sun to be cool. Doctor Strange already has that legitimacy. Like, he's consistent. Blade might not be coming, so we'll see you there. And then Punisher, yeah, put John Berthel on anything and it's better. So I'm down for that. So along with this, Nathan, MCU dropped 3 mystery movie dates, and it's mirroring 2025, but this time we're looking at 2028. There's a February 18th movie, May 5th movie, and November 10th movie in 2028. This is the year after Secret Wars. Secret Wars comes out, as of right now, Secret Wars is coming out May 2027, I think. So this are 3 new MCU movies in 2028. Not much to say there, but theory time, Nathan. What do you think the first year post Secret Wars will look like for the MCU? Are we immediately jumping into the mutant saga? What do you think?
I think for sure one of them is definitely going to be an X-Men property, for sure, bar none of one of the newest things. That's also an interesting concept because you like kind of stop to think like, well, what is the move of like the next step? Considering like all our roads are mapping towards Secret Wars, we don't know what that post looks like. I mean, not really. Like even if I think back to like leading up Infinity War and Endgame, most of the outlook was there. We weren't really like. Well, we didn't really get to Phase 4 announcements until after that. Maybe like, we knew Black Widow was coming up and that they were working on I think maybe they had announced Shang-Chi by that point.
Yeah, I think we knew about like Black Widow, Shang-Chi, and at that point we were looking towards like sequels. So like we were looking forward to Black Widow, Shang-Chi, and then Eternals, Guardians sequel, Black Panther sequel,
Spider-Man.
Thor sequel, Spider-Man sequel, like Doctor Strange sequel. So like we were looking towards to seeing these sequels.
And that was also a big launch time for the shows as well, right?
Exactly. Like
there was 5 MCU shows in the first year of 2021.
That's insane. That's a lot in hindsight. It's crazy how they did that.
Yeah, back to back, man. They had they did WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, Loki, What If, and Hawkeye.
That's wild. What a year. And we reviewed all those on this podcast. There's history there, guys. I'm with you. I think I've been thinking about this for the longest time. I mean, not that I'm like the biggest. I go to sleep thinking about the MCU. But this guy does. You got to think Secret Wars ends, and Endgame didn't do this. People thought Endgame was going to lay out the map, kind of like you said, but it didn't, like you said. Like we knew the slate, but Endgame as a film didn't really tee us into what could be happening next. It was all
it didn't have post credits or anything. It wasn't outside of like Thor tagging with the Guardians, which was inconsequential. It was very just like finality of the journey we were on for these characters.
Exactly. And even the Thor Guardians thing like ended very quickly in Thor Love and Thunder. So it wasn't really a thing. But yeah, I think contrary to Endgame, I think we're going to get a shakeup, Secret Wars, incursions, worlds colliding. I think we're going to be getting a tease for the mutant films. I agree with you. I think one of them is definitely maybe the May date will be the first, just X-Men, whatever they want to call it, probably just X-Men. No, that's already taken. It'll be some bull, right? Isn't the first X-Men film called X-Men
that they're making?
Oh no, I mean like in terms of like Fox, like the first X-Men film was just called X-Men, right?
It is, but I mean, if you just see like Marvel Studios X-Men, they'll do it.
That works. I hate that though, and I think Marvel loves their corny ass subtitles. Spider-Man, Homecoming, Daredevil, Born Again. It's like they want to do like these, like, hey, this is a new X-Men film in the MCU, so it'll probably become
X-Men First Class. No, it's taken.
X-Men Second Class. It'll probably be called All New X-Men.
Uncanny X-Men. That'd be cool.
Uncanny X-Men.
New X-Men. I would actually like that.
Yeah, what was the one written by, we don't like to talk about him, the Avengers director. Um, I,
Oh,
we don't like him, but he made a good X-Men run.
that I'm not sure.
Astonishing X-Men, which is a
Astonishing.
great run. Um, those are the titles you got to be thinking about for the MCU stuff because they love throwing back to your classic ones, all new, all different. But that's too long of a title.
It
Um,
it it would be nice to like have like a stamp of like an official team title because like when they pivoted from Spider-Man to the Amazing Spider-Man, it was like that makes sense, that works.
yeah.
Spider-Man has a lot of book titles to like pull. You could have done Sensational Ultimate. They didn't do that for Tom, but that's fine. Maybe they'll do it now because I don't know. We've ditched the home thing, surely.
Yeah, you would think, you would hope so, but yeah, I think they did. I think there are no more homes, especially if Spider-Man 4 is multiversal. You have to have a feeling that it won't be home anything. But so yeah, 2028. I'm thinking X-Men on here for sure. That's one of them.
Mhm.
And at this point, if Shang-Chi 2 does not come out in 2026, which is not looking very likely. 2026 was like my at most, like, come on, we should have one by then at most.
Mhm.
Is not looking good, especially if they want to bring back Destin Daniel Cretton. Um, if they want to bring him back for Shang-Chi 2, they're going to have to wait till after Spider-Man, which is coming out in 2026. If that is the case, if they want to wait till after Spider-Man, instead of getting a new director, which I'm of two ways of this. I kind of want, we got a runner outside. I kind of want Destin to come back. But if he's stuck in Spider-Man jail, I'm like, okay, at this point, just get somebody else to do Shang-Chi 2.
Do you-
Um, no,
well, I mean, you don't think they're pegging Daniel to do a whole trilogy, do you?
no. He's doing the first one, but again, because he's doing the first one, and the first one comes out in 2026, he's gonna
You
be
could
too
still do
busy.
20.
You can do what?
You could make a new film in 2 years.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying like if they want to wait until he's finished Spider-Man, then Shang-Chi 2 makes sense to come out in 2028, which
Mm.
is still crazy. Like that's the longest time for a sequel, isn't it? The first one came out in 2021. That's
Yeah, so 7 years
that's
at least.
wild.
At least if it is one of those dates, because if it's not, then it's longer.
That's wild. And again, I wouldn't care if he was like a main character in Secret Wars and Doomsday, but I don't even know if that's the case anymore.
Mm.
Because of the whole switch up with Tony Stark coming back.
There is an interesting bit that like I didn't think about, but like I'm pretty sure the 10 Rings post credit thing, like beacon thing was supposed to be tying to Kang. So now I'm wondering like what Shang-Chi's functionality is going to be in the story.
Yeah, I totally thought that was a Kang thing. I mean, what other thing can it be at this point? It had to have been a Kang thing, which is crazy because it just goes along with how many uh post credit scenes has just been flopping for Marvel
I
recently.
I was well flopping
I mean, not going towards anything anymore.
yet.
Yeah.
Sure, give it time, but like but also in terms of like that setup, it was so vague enough, and it's such like random fictional science and stuff that you could really pivot to like whatever story point you need it to fit, and it would probably plug in just fine. They didn't
That's true.
explicitly said like this is quantum realm energy or something. They didn't do that.
Yeah, they could probably say like, "Oh, it's pinging to another world, multiverse, another world, whatever," and then Shang-Chi can have a connection to another realm or whatever.
Yeah.
So that could be a thing. So yeah, but yeah, so 2028, I'm thinking Shang-Chi 2, X-Men, and people have been dying for a Scarlet Witch solo movie.
Mm.
That could be a 2028 thing as well if they want to do that. I'm not sure what the other one could be. It could be literally anything. Or it could be Doctor Strange
I,
3.
I I wonder that's true. That's interesting because like Doctor Strange 3 is supposed to handle incursions, but presumably post Secret Wars will fix all that. So
Yeah, and there was a rumor going around that they're pausing Doctor Strange 3 because it's not connected to multiverse, which seems weird because it felt like the post-credit scene was connected to the multiverse. I don't
It
know.
is, but like that to me, that then sounds like they're going to take that setup and that's going to be functioning as like the main running plot into Doomsday and or Secret Wars.
Exactly. So
It's like okay, fine.
yeah, I mean, it still could come out in like 2026, right? All we know for 2026 is Avengers. We don't know the two other 2026 films for Marvel, at least. I mean, Spider-Man 4 doesn't count as Sony. I think there's still two other ones, like a February and November 2026 data that are still blank, I think. Um,
Sure.
so so that could be a thing. But anyways,
Eternal 2, baby.
not happening. Not happening. Sorry, Eternals lovers out there. I mean, I liked it. You know, watch our podcast, our review of it. You know,
You loved it. You said it was your favorite film of the year.
I think I did. Yeah.
Oh,
What year did that come out? 2020?
2021.
2021? No, Eternals or Dune? Uh, I wonder which one I liked more.
Tick Tick Boom is the answer.
Tick Tick Boom was top 5, I think.
I think it was my number one.
I think that was your number one. Yeah, 2021 was like an underrated.
Shockingly, Spider-Man was number 3 for me that year.
What was number 2?
Matrix Resurrections.
Oh yeah, you really love Matrix. Yeah.
A love story? Oh my god, lock me in.
Yeah, I think Matrix like number 15, 13, something like that. I have to take a look at it. So yeah, speaking of 2026, I mentioned Spider-Man 4 here, and it finally got a date. Tom Holland was on Jimmy Kimmel, Fallon, one of those.
I think
Fallon. He's on Jimmy Fallon, and Jimmy Fallon, like, is there a Spider-Man movie coming out? Oh my gosh! Oh yeah! Jimmy fake ass, hype man ass.
I hate this man so much. I'm just like, he's just there. Whatever. Everyone has like a personal vendetta. Like, Jimmy murdered my fucking family, and he smiles behind the pain. Stop it.
I mean, I don't care about the guy. I just laugh whenever he like overly cares about something I know he does not give a shit about. But
he's just being polite. I don't know.
Yeah, he's no, you're very funny guest I have that I knew was I knew what you were gonna say for. Anyways, Spider-Man 4 coming out July 24th, 2026. The first film, at least in the MCU timeline, after Avengers Doomsday. Because currently, again, Avengers Doomsday is in May, and then next film in the MCU is Spider-Man 4. I think there are, again, still two other 2026 films for Marvel. So what do you think about this? Spider-Man 4 finally getting a date? And Tom Holland said, this is unlike any... He said he read the script with his girlfriend, Zendaya. They say this is unlike any other Spider-Man film they have ever read. What do you think that means? And what do you think we'll be seeing here? Spider-Man 4.
I mean, as a Spider-Man film, probably true, because it's probably going to involve incursion event. I think I had pitched this before. Like, they're probably, since it's going to be post Doomsday, but before Secret Wars, the teams are probably going to get knocked into separation or be disassembled, if you will. And especially with the rumors of Toby and Andrew being a part of it, it's like no doubt in my brain that they're going to do like an incursion mini Spider-Verse story for that will predominantly be the core story will be tackled there, but it's going to then bleed into having a fuller resolution in Secret Wars,
which makes a lot of sense. Doomsday, like you said, could be scattering the team. Oh yeah, go on.
Yeah, and also in comparison, like it's probably going to be a similar vibe to Endgame with how big scale that was, but also for majority of Endgame, it's also important to note that Tom wasn't super involved with that until the final battle. And, in regards to Infinity War, it was like crazy because like he went to a planet and, predominantly he just spent the whole movie on that planet fighting Thanos.
True. So yeah, I think your theory makes a lot of sense here. Scatter the team, disassemble them. Tom is locked into a universe, a world, an incursion, whatever, where he's with Toby and Andrew. And if the rumors we've been talking about for the past couple of weeks now, if they connect, they could be in a world where they have to fight against Noel, which I'll get into in our review.
Yeah, it could be a big old as a symbiote versus story, maybe.
Exactly. Even though in the movie, spoiler alert for Venom, small spoiler, it depends if people care. He's not super in charge of the symbiotes. It seems like the other way around, where he was hunting symbiotes. So
yeah, it's So by the time we finish talking about Venom, I probably will have more theory talk for Spider-Man 4 when we get there.
Okay, cool. So right now, that makes a lot of sense. Scatter the heroes and Spider-Man. Oh, look, Spider-Man are now scattered. Incoming Spider-Man 4, where they have to do their own movie together, where they fight against aliens. Yeah, I don't want it still. I don't want it still. I know it makes a lot of sense, guys. I know it makes a lot of sense. I just don't want it. I made the argument. You could pull a Ant-Man and the Wasp. Pull back the clock. Pull back the clock and showcase Spider-Man leading up to this. It's a bit dangerous. Not dangerous. It's a more precarious situation compared to the Infinity War Ant-Man of it all, because Ant-Man wasn't in Infinity War. So you had room to be like,
right.
He wasn't here. So this is his story leading up to Endgame, where he will be here.
That said, I'm pretty sure Spider-Man's probably going to be in Doomsday.
Exactly, right? So if he's in Doomsday, it's going to be hard to peel back the clock and be like, oh, this is what he's been up to. But also, we need to see that, though. Like, we haven't seen him since No Way Home. And we're going to see him first thing in Doomsday. Hey, Tom, how's college? Hey, Tom, how's your friends? Hey, Tom, how's your life been post No Way Home? We're going to see you first in Doomsday? What?
Well, that's kind of the funny thing is, like, while we are like, wow, an interesting story is here, they're probably seeing like, hey, we wiped his slate clean. He's got nothing going on. We can just throw him right in.
That's a great point. That's probably a good thinking point for what these people are thinking.
I mean, you could definitely show he's like, he's being Spider-Man, but he's like, he could be like struggling with rent, like trying to keep a job and stuff. Like have a quick highlight of like, hey, Peter's like trying to handle stuff, but now we got bigger fish to fry. But when we come back, we'll do all that, and which could be nice. Because I think there was also like the reports that like he would be like one of like the leading characters in Avengers.
That's a good point. And yeah, I always think about how crowded these Avengers movies are, but the Russo brothers have notoriously done a good job at like giving us these glimpses, these slices of life for these characters prior to their epic, fighting sequences. Like in Infinity War, even in the OG Avengers films prior to Infinity War, in Ultron and Avengers, we got glimpses. Hey, this is what Tony is up to. Boom. Hey, this is what Thor is up to. Sequence. Captain America. So we can see a sequence of Tom, forgetting to pay his rent, delivering pizza, doing X, Y, and Z. It only has to be for like 5 minutes movie time, maybe even less. Just a short sequence. Boom. Looks up in the sky. Shit gets crazy. That's kind of all we really need, bare minimum. And then for Spider-Man 4, if it is multiversal, then you're set up. If it's not, then I don't know where you can go. But again, it's just that like, man, we just had this in No Way Home. I don't need it again. And I hate this argument. I see online. It's like, well, if I talk to anybody in the street, they keep telling me the most response I'm getting from people is that they really want to see Toby and Andrew with Tom again. No shit. People obviously want to see that again. But since when?
You mean the thing that made $1 billion?
Right? It's like, okay, obviously people want to see that again. They're hungry. They're fans. Like they want to. I don't mind seeing that again. I just say I would rather see something else first. Like, let's build up to seeing them again. It just feels so lazy and lame. Just be like, oh, we made $1 billion with them. Let's do it again. Roll the tape, guys. But this time they're fighting goopily, globly symbiotes. Yeah, I'm not happy about
it. It is like a similar that. What a funny thing to hear. It'd be like if somebody like walks out and like, my friends and I would love to see Deadpool and Wolverine together again. Who wouldn't?
Right? Exactly. Like
but also like, hey, what's Laura up to?
Like that's what we care. I care about Laura. I don't care about Deadpool. I care about Laura. I care about
them all, but like, can I see Laura?
Yeah, like, I care about Peter being on his own. That was so exciting. But obviously, if you ask somebody, hey, do you want to see a movie with Peter by himself or with like him fighting with Toby and Andrew again? Obviously, fans are going to say that. But the thing about the MCU is just like, we got to stop just like placating to the general audience all the fucking time. Like, do what you want to do, Feige, or whoever's in charge these days. And then audiences are going to eat it up. Audiences are going to come see Spider-Man 4 no matter what happens in the movie. It's like, he could be effing Mary Jane for the whole movie. People are still going to go see it. It doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter. People go see Spider-Man 4. Yeah, that's my thing.
You're right. I mean, no, you're right. I mean, even if they like kept it, even if they were just going to like tell the symbiote story by himself, it's like, yeah, that's captivating because people love watching Spider-Man and Venom go at it.
Exactly. So that's my thing. We got to move along, though, unless you had something else to add there.
No, I mean,
okay.
I'm on like the other side of the coin for like where you are, where I'm like, I'm aware it's happening. There's no shift that like this isn't happening. So let's just try to enjoy what's gonna happen. Like it's gonna be fun. Let's have fun.
Yeah. Let's yeah, you're right. Nathan to the point, it's not like the stages of grief because I'm not grieving over anything, but he's at the extent.
Oh, I get to see Andrew in the suit again.
Yeah, I know. Like, oh no. So yeah, but going back in terms of release dates, I mentioned earlier that because Blade is gone, Predator Badlands, the next Predator movie, is now slated to release next November. And it won't be the only Predator movie. There was a secret Predator movie filmed in secret by Dan Trachtenberg as well. This one will be animated, and the rumor is that it will be an anthology animated film going over historical timelines, which might include, samurai, pirates, and yeah, potentially samurai and pirates. This was from Gizmodo, who reported this. So that'll be very exciting. Officially, the only thing we know is that Dan Trachtenberg directed a secret movie. Again, from Gizmodo, they're saying that secret movie is an animated anthology film following 3 stories of predators fighting warriors in different eras, potentially samurais and pirates. So what is your take on like this animated film and Predator Badlands coming out next year?
Glorious. Look, I can't deny. The idea of seeing the Predator take on these different time periods in live action would have been a cool thing. But also, animation is gorgeous. I haven't seen the art style they're going with, but it's probably going to be really good. And just the idea of exploring those areas, like Japan, just from a sound design perspective alone, is going to be magnificent. But the idea of like Pirates Islands, probably for you a good version of Voyage of the Demeter, whatever it's called.
Oh yeah,
Last Voyage of the Demeter. But
not a great movie.
The Predator stalking a crew on a ship, like hiding in the mast, like during a thunderstorm or some shit. Like, oh fuck,
that would be awesome, and that would be awesome. And seeing pirates having to deal with that, like, holy shit, like that would be like a pirate sword fight with a predator. Come on, guys, I would love that.
Picture like you have like a setting where like the crew are trying to deal with the predator and like they're having a battle with them, but then like a rival ship of the crew is also coming around and like they start like fighting and the predator is just like fucking shit up on both ones as they're fucking like circling cannonballs and shit.
That would be peak. I would love that, dude. That would be incredible. That would be so incredible. Um, yeah, I would love that so much. Um, but yeah, I'm so excited for this. I think an animated film. I'm always championing animated films. I don't know. They didn't clarify if this was also going to be theatrical. I have a low. I think there's a low probability that this will be a theatrically animated Predator film. Probably something for Hulu.
I think it might have a chance of being pushed to theatrical if the Lord of the Rings anime does well.
Great point. Great point. Which again, I'm always championing for Lord of the Rings, War of Rohirrim, whatever, however you say it. I'm championing that film to do well because that's a good point. It might give other studios like Disney, 20th Century Fox, to push for more animated films in theaters, and it's going to push Warner Brothers to do more anime Lord of the Rings films. So always go see these animation films because studios need to realize those are very profitable and worth taking the risk on theatrically. So yeah, I'm very hopeful for that. But right now, I'm leaning towards it's just going to be dropped on Hulu. I don't want that to be the case, but I really hope it's theatrical. But yeah, Predator Badlands is the one coming out in November. That is theatrical. They learned their lesson from Prey being a huge success. This one is going to be in theaters, starring Elle Fanning in the future. I don't know where I read this. I'm just going off the cuff of my mind, but I believe I read a rumor that clarified a bit more of this sci-fi tale. In terms of Elle Fanning, something has to do with her sister. Maybe not Dakota Fanning, but like
Right.
in the context of the story, something about two sisters fight for survival, sci-fi tech versus the Predator. And the 20th Century Fox president was very happy about this direction. Not the story, that part's a rumor, but overall about the film, he was very excited about Predator Badlands. I wonder if I can pull up the quote here. Talking about Alien Romulus, Avatar, Predator. So yeah, he says they ratted off a lot of ideas about like what this Predator movie can be. They know it's going to be theatrical, but they really let Dan kind of take the lead on all these ideas that Dan had in his head. And they did two of the best ones that they had. One being The Secret, and the other one being the live action film with Elle Fanning that just wrapped filming in New Zealand. And yeah, he says it is a sci-fi thing, but it's not what everybody thinks. Because sci-fi, you immediately go back to the first two movies, which were grounded, but technically sci-fi because it's an alien on Earth fighting with sci-fi.
Yeah, they're all sci-fi.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. He says it's awesome, it's nuts, and in Dan we trust. And yeah, that seems really cool. But also, Nathan, moving on from Predator Badlands and animated film, he did say Alien versus Predator is something that they will probably be doing here. So he says, the reporter from THR asked, will we eventually see another Alien versus Predator? He says probably, and the reporter was like, I'm not sure how I feel about that, given the reception towards the last AVP movie. And he says, it's not in the way that that you think. Not in the way that it will just be called Alien versus Predator or anything like the original movies. If we do this, this will be created organically out of these two franchises that we've continued with characters that we fell in love with, and those characters will perhaps combine. But we haven't gotten to that point yet, and we're not just going to bang it out. That's all he had to say about AVP. So I like those words that they want to make this organic. And off the top of my head, Elle Fanning is in a sci-fi oriented Predator film. That automatically puts her in the future. Easy to guess that. And I have to assume maybe it's in the same year, same time span as Alien Romulus. we just had two characters go off in space together. We could have Kaylee Spaney's character with so we could have Rain and Andy. I don't know which one will come first, Alien Romulus 2, which is also happening, or AVP. But either way, Alien Romulus set in the future, Elle Fanning's character set in the future. We could have a combination of Elle Fanning's character meeting with Kaylee Spaney and Rain and Andy, and then they both had to fight against aliens and predators, and I would love that so much.
Now, Evan, I'm not a religious man.
Go on.
But every night I pray. Pun intended. I pray for an Alien versus Predator modern roadmap. That's canon.
I agree.
And God damn it, this I didn't know that I skimmed that article in that report and I was like, all right, more Romulus, more Predators, fucking go. I didn't see that AVP section. This is news to be breaking right now. It's amazing. I need it. Imagine they're, because we left Romulus, our characters are on their way to that peaceful planet that they dream of. What if the Predator touches down on that? What if it's not as peaceful as they think?
Oh, man.
I just keep making pitches for you on the fly.
Yeah, I mean, you always come up with some fantastic pitches. Now, we knew, knowing the format of Alien movies, they want to go towards this like peaceful planet, but it's going to be anything but peaceful. We love seeing these characters go through trauma, then get glimpses of happiness, then go through trauma again. So I'm excited to see like they're going to get a glimpse of happiness on their probably new planet. An alien's going to follow them there, or a predator's going to follow them there. What if, I don't know if the concept of like the whole like predators hunting aliens is still canon. But that could be a thing on this new planet where they came to hunt down some aliens and they run into Kaylee. They run into Rain and Andy during their hunting season. That could be a thing. It's very exciting. It's very exciting. I have no idea where this could go, but yeah, I'm with you. Like an organic combination rather than just shoving in AVP. Come see our movie. It's popcorn fun craziness. Like I want this to be a very cool combination that's created organically. But here's another off the cuff question, Nathan. If you had to pick, who would you rather have direct this movie? Dan Trachtenberg or Fede Alvarez? What do you think?
Oh boy. Well, fuck. It might depend on what I'm looking for. I mean, so like Prey, right? Prey is like a really good out in the open action type of environment flick.
Yeah.
Some suspenseful moments for sure, but it definitely like probably lends itself up more action than scary. Whereas I think you have that exact mirror of that with Romulus, where it's very atmospheric and very scary, very claustrophobic, with some like action sprinkled in between the different sneaking around settings. Hey, what's up, man?
Oh, what's up, Travis? Travis Mitchell.
But with that though, I don't, because then I also think like if you're gonna have a predator, it's likely going to be like out in like the open. Wow, maybe I'm just thinking about that Paradise Planet pitch. So they could both work. I mean, in a perfect world, it's a co-direction job, but also I don't think they know each other like that.
That would be amazing. Just dude, that would be again praying to the heavens. That would be a perfect thing. I agree with you, man.
The idea of them like two set production of like, all right, you're filming the alien segments, you're filming the predator sections, and then when they get together, like, all right, let's hash out how we want to collide them. Otherwise, they would probably pull getting a new director and then having them both be on as producers.
Yeah, I would love that. I mean, I can see both of them being on as like executive producers or as like script writers in that case. Predators Hunting Aliens still canon, as we see Xenomorph Skull in Predator 2, and the spear from the first AVP in The Predator. So that part is cool, and I think out of all the bad things that happen in those movies, and I still like the first AVP. The second one, we don't talk about, but like
there's a lot of good ideas in the first.
there's a lot of good ideas. I'm with you, man. Like the whole aliens getting hunted by predators, and it like it being like an Aztecian kind of like sport. It seemed very cool. And in that aspect could continue, just written better in a more fun way.
Yeah, I mean, there was, I really like the idea of one of the last surviving human, the final girl of that movie in AVP, teaming up with the final predator and earning their respect by the end. Like imagining like a scene where you have Ray and Andy on the run, and then Andy is kind of assessing the movements of the predator and like realizing, okay, well, the xenomorph is a savage that can't be reasoned with, but like this guy, he has a goal, he has intelligence, like he's not mindless. Like maybe we can come to some understanding if need be for the necessity of everyone's survival.
I love that, man. Cook, Nathan, you should be the ghost scriptwriter for this movie.
I'm available. Available.
So yeah, that's very exciting. So yeah, the future of this like 20th Century Fox is very promising. They came out with the article last week. I really recommend it. People look it up. Like it's an interview with THR, the Hollywood Reporter, talking about like the recent success. Because this year, the past couple years, right? Like Avatar 2 came back after a very long time, and it became the second highest movie of all time. And then this year was the first year that, we actually had some big movies, Alien, Romulus, and Apes, and they were both big successes for 20th Century Fox. And they're going to continue doing so in the future. In the original comics, the Predators had xenomorph eggs on their ships, would drop them on random planets and hunt whatever became of them in that planet's life forms. That's amazing. I need to read some of them with Alien comics. I know Marvel has started to make more Alien and Predator comics recently.
I want to read the because they just did a crossover with the Xenomorph and the Marvel Universe. So I want to check that out. But yeah, that could be an interesting segment, like having the Predators dispatch the Xenomorph eggs, but also by this timeline. I don't know if that's like where the functionality of like the xenomorph is out in the wild like that for other species like the predators to have. I need to remember the name of the predator species because they have a name as well. Yeah. But also if you were just like kick off the story and it's like they're looking for like that great hunt and it's like you see the xenomorph, it's like that one, like that alone is pretty compelling.
Very much so. So yeah, again, it's just looking very promising. I assume this movie is way far off. Badlands comes out next year. I don't think there's any hint as to what film will come first, AVP or Alien Romulus 2. At this point, I'm just going to assume Alien Romulus 2 is coming along faster than AVP.
That's what the Predator's called.
The Yajita? Is that how you say it? Yaujita?
Maybe.
That sounds
Gausha,
cool.
Maybe.
Okay, yeah. So yeah. Also, in terms of Alien Romulus 2, I know some people didn't like Alien Romulus. I'm not one of those people. I really liked Alien Romulus. And I'm excited, but the part I can agree with is that like it does feel very safe-ish, but it's safe in the way that like The Force Awakens is safe. And I adore The Force Awakens. So I don't mind that it's safe because it introduced two awesome characters in Rey and Andy, in the same way that Force Awakens introduced Kylo, Finn, Poe, and Rey excellently so, right? So like I don't mind that. But now that Fede's done that, we could get a Last Jedi scenario with Fede Alvarez. He gets to go full balls to the wall on an unknown planet brand new location and give Rain and Andy
Right.
all these craziness to deal with.
This is cool.
So yeah, Travis says there's actually a Predator in the original Infinity Gauntlet coming from 1991. It's one of the aliens who responds to the distress call from the Avengers. Wow.
That's cool.
That's really cool.
That is really cool. I will say, like, in regards to Romulus, though, like, oh fuck it, that ending like really swung for the fence on that creature design. I admire the hell out of that. Like I love that, despite even some word of mouth reception on Prometheus and Covenant, they didn't shy away from it. They spotlighted it very well, both in the history of the science that they've come to in that point in the universe, and also the final creature design. Like you don't have that creature design if you don't have any reference to those two films.
I agree. Yeah, I think the way they referenced it was it wasn't like super on the nose. If you hadn't seen those movies, you wouldn't be confused. I liked the allusions to what came before, but some people had complaints about that, and it's not that I don't get it. I get, like, people wanting something completely fresh, but I didn't mind it. I would love the story, and this is from Travis. I would love the story of the last engineer coming home after Covenant, discovering everyone is massacred, reacting the Watcher android, and both teaming up to take down David. Won't happen though. I mean, yeah, that's the ideal, right? Like, people really want that conclusion to the engineer plot line that was started by Ridley. And yeah, I just don't think it's going to happen anymore. I think Ridley is now fully on board.
You may get
sorry.
Yeah, you may it may not get like its own individual movie, unfortunately, but I think with Ridley still being like producer on these, and Fetty being a fan of them and like wanting to honor the canon, he may be able to sprinkle in some ideas to kind of like wrap that up. That being said, AVP, if you want to drop David in there, and then get David's thoughts on the Predator, oh my fucking god.
Holy shit. That'd be cool. Can you give me a timeline?
That's all. Actually, hold on. For the movies?
No. In terms of like how is Covenant? How far ahead is Romulus to Covenant?
I think it's roughly it's under 30 years.
Okay.
I think it may be a 20-year span. Though I will say, we last left David with the full crew, like the full 1,000 crew of the Covenant, and some facehugger embryos to experiment on with the whole crew. Imagine like a whole fucking that many got out and they all crash on the planet, and there's just swarms of hives of xenomorphs, and Predator's like, hey, let's do that.
Or I was just thinking, not even AVP, but just Alien Romulus 2. They go to a world, and it's the world that David has colonized with his alien eggs. They just meet David there. Maybe he could be the villain of Alien 2, Romulus 2.
They absolutely could do that. They're on their way to Origai 6, which I think it's a different planet from the Paradise Planet. I can't remember the name that they're on their way to. However, as we know, the Alien franchise, when people are in cryosleep, a lot of times shit will happen that will wake them up or knock them off course, and it's like, okay, well,
every single time.
Yeah.
And it'd be cool if this peaceful planet is kind of like the light at the end of the tunnel. Like, they're going to keep on trying to get there, but then, something happens. But then finally, at the very end, they can finally reach that light at the end of this franchise. But it's going to be like that goalpost, and it's going to keep on getting longer and longer because shit's going to get in the way. I would love that as well.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's very exciting stuff ahead for Alien. And before we move on, I just want to share some quick set photos here.
Okay.
Let me share some screens here. Boop-boop-a-doo. So this was also released. I was going through my show notes. I want to talk about this. You excited for this, buddy?
Absolutely. Look at that. Look at that mask. That just is the Spider-Verse design.
It really is like it really from the page, from the animation to the screen here in live action. It looks very cool to see this. They're filming an outdoor sequence. You can look at the cars. It's Spider-Man Noir, so it's not just Spider-Man Noir in present day. This is definitely set in like the 20s, 60s, whatever you want to say there.
Probably 30s.
30s, yeah. So that's really cool here.
Yeah, that's awesome. With Nicolas Cage coming back, which is cool.
Yeah, that's probably not Nicolas Cage though. Maybe it is.
You don't know. You don't know. It's not. No, somebody would have snapped a photo of he would have taken off that mask by now.
Yeah. So I assume he's gonna do like
I'm
ADR or something like that during the.
Oh yeah, that's very common for action sequences. Heaven, I just rewatched National Treasure the other night.
Oh, Peak.
It is Peak, man. I fucking love Nicolas Cage.
It's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's so good. It's so good.
Is.
I love that movie. Jeepers Creepers. So true.
Oh boy. I was saying in the group chat, I don't know if they're gonna go for that aesthetic wise, but I would love if they were to make this look like Robert Rodriguez's Sin City. The way like they're able to do the black and white cinematography, but like they really make the environment pop, because most of the environment isn't real because it is green screen, so they can make everything look a lot more fantastical in like the dynamicism of the lighting and the perspectives.
Yeah, that's really cool. I saw that idea and I would love that as well. I think that'd be really cool.
Do you think the show would be in black and white or like sepia?
I don't, but I think that's hard to commit to for an entire series. If it was a movie, yeah, sure, why not? But for a series, I think that's just too hard to keep consistently. So I doubt it. But I love the idea. I love the aesthetic, and I think that'd be very cool. Not that they couldn't go to certain black and white sequences. The first thing that comes to mind here is HBO's Watchmen, where in certain episodes, certain sequences would be in black and white as they reflect back on the past to one of the OG vigilantes. And it was all in black and white. I think that was a very smart idea, made it feel very noirish and yeah, stuff like that. So I think they could flash back to black and white sequences, or like in his mind is a black and white mindscape. But I think in general it's probably not going to be like that. Maybe the color might be a bit saturated overall, but not like the whole way through. So yeah, but I'm excited for this happening. Unfortunately, the Silk series just couldn't get off the ground. But we heard this Spider-Man Noir series, and it felt like as soon as we heard about it, they were ready to film it. And they're filming it now, and it's coming out. If they're filming this now, I could probably assume late 2025, early 2026 at this rate, at the rate that TV works. Because you can assume they're going to finish filming by December, January-ish. And then post-production, you could look at, again, late December or early 2026. But I'm very excited. I think the future for these Spider-Man shows could be promising. Especially if this does well, we can get multiple seasons of that. But yeah, it's 10:41 already. Let's drop into some reviews. We'll talk about some of the other stuff next time.
Do you think Spider-Noir will be in Spider-Man 4?
Yes, hell yes. Why not? But yeah, let's talk about Agatha, episode 7 of Agatha. 6? Was it 6 or 7?
7.
This is episode 7. Now, I didn't know that the Agatha finale is going to be 2 episodes. It's going to be episode 8 and episode 9. They're dropping 2 episodes. I guess they wanted to hit that pre-Thanksgiving or pre-Halloween, buzz. This is coming out the week of Halloween. and they want to just jam pack it all on the week of Halloween. So episode 8 and episode 9 are dropping on Wednesday to conclude the series. Last week we had episode 7. I forget what the title was, but this was basically Lilia's episode. And Nathan, best episode of the series?
It's best episode ever.
Is this better than the Doctor Strange episode in What If?
Let's not be hasty. But on par? I think it could be on par, man. I really adore time shit in anything.
Me too.
It's one of my highlights of Megalopolis. This one, I loved it. I love the fact that they have to write this and shoot it as a through line the entire season so that you can have a reveal like this. And when you look back, you're like, oh yeah, that does all line up. That is wild. These little intricate pieces, they all fall into place so perfectly. It's really amazing.
I agree with you. I think I adore this time stuff. The way they edited it throughout the episode was very fun, and the way it helps recontextualize things that we heard from Lilia in previous episodes that we just simply took as oh, she's seen something, but I don't know if it's ever going to come back. I didn't think we'll ever get quick flashes to something quite like this, where not only are these flashes connecting to who Lilia is as a witch, what her potential could be, what she's going through emotionally, which was again sold completely well by Patti LuPone. I think she really covered the emotional gauntlet of understanding her time is coming to an end. Recollecting the emotional, heartwarming nature of finally having a coven of witches that she cares for, along with again just preparing herself for the end in a somber yet heartwarming way. I think overall it was just very well done. Again, Patti LuPone did a fantastic job here, and while we did theorize other reveals in this episode, kind of like the Aubrey Plaza death of it all wasn't too surprising, but I liked the reveal. The execution of it was outstanding. I think when I say execution of it, I just mean that walk down the dark hallway with the death makeup on her face. Fantastic. That really was cool. Great. It was cool. It was creepy. Yeah, we kind of guessed it. Most people did, but it was really cool. I think it was really cool. And, referencing the whole that we've talked about, the whole Ouija scene, death's in the room and she laughs. The way that she wasn't really connected with anything that was happening on the road. I just think it was a very cool reveal. I think Jack Schaefer knows how to do fun reveals on these shows. So much so that I think every Marvel show since WandaVision has tried to get their Agatha all along moment, which kind of I think started this, where it's power broker, that's the big moment, or in in other shows they want their big reveal in the penultimate episode. In Hawkeye, it was oh shoot, it's the mom who's been hiring so and so to kill so and so. So it's
I think they tried to make a big reveal of Kingpin in general in Hawkeye, just we knew.
Yeah, it's kind of we knew. It's we don't need these big reveals, but Jack Schaefer does reveals in a very fun and emotional way, where it's not just reveal for reveal sense. It's a reveal that affects the characters and what the characters are currently going through. And I kind of like this, where it kind of started out as Billy's moment here in this episode, where he's trying to discover or read the tarot cards about himself, but he has to take a step back, and Lilia has to confront the tarot about herself and the other characters. I don't have the cards for the specific characters, but
I might.
You might. Thank you. They go over something that might tease some stuff for the finale with we see a scared Agatha, not a scared Agatha, but a worried Agatha with the swords pointing near her as she's consoling Billy. And like she has her mind around Billy. It looks very her hands around Billy. It looks very much like the scene from Days of Future Past where you have Kitty overlooking Wolverine.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. That's kind of, and that was in, I didn't mention it, but that was in the trailer as well. That like second half of the season trailer, where it's like there's this big room and Agatha's over Billy, like trying to get him to wake up. Basically, I have no idea what's happening.
Yeah, I'll
But
send
you
you
know,
the Marvel has like an official thread on all the cards. There you go.
you just tweeted it to me in the DMs.
Yeah.
Cool. And this is a thread. Perfect. Yeah. So yeah, keep on talking. I'll share the screen in a second.
Yeah, I do like that, even though Billy's tarot reading wasn't the one that was supposed to happen in the trial, that we still got an introspective bit of information for him, which I think was really cool.
Yeah, there we go. So this is the Queen of Cups. This was, and I think this was a very emotional, heartfelt scene as she's reflecting on her past. I think the young Lilia did a great job here, where initially she's frightened, she doesn't know what's going on, but then she understands. Oh, I'm talking like post death. Is that kind of like the insinuation you got there?
I mean, I like to think that, like, just with her own consciousness, she's able to take reign and live out her life, and probably more so to the fullest this time, which I think
I agree.
a more beautiful ending than just the sacrifice, which is also meaningful.
Yeah, and you know me, man. I hate sacrifices, but I think this was done in again a heartfelt way, which made a lot of sense. They no more Sinister Seven, whatever they're called.
Excuse me.
The Salem Seven, whatever. Was that it? All right. Okay.
Sony Sinister Seven.
You know, get Drew Goddard on it, guys. But no. So yeah, I liked this whole, because the way they edited it, it was just quick flashes. She understands what's going on, and then we cut to something else. She's very confused. I like the way they did cut back and forth between the scenes with her and Jennifer. And Jennifer's like kind of like, yeah, you already told me about this, but you also told me that you were going to forget that you did tell me about this. So it was made for some funny like time comedy within this episode, which I think was pretty neat. So then we also have the 3-star Three of Pentacles here, collaboration community. This is just the witches coming together. Once again, the Black Heart was not Aubrey Plaza's death. This is referring to Billy. She wrote the Black Heart because she couldn't remember Billy's name. She put the the talisman thing, I forget what it's called, on him, so she couldn't remember.
Sigil.
The sigil, thank you. So that'll happen. But again, you'll see no Aubrey Plaza. She was not meant to be on the road. Yeah, they did summon her to be on the road, but like, she is the Green Witch. We'll get to that in a second. The Knight of Wands, protecting people that she was caring for. Full of fire, fights bravely. I like that for Alice. And then we have the High Priestess, immense spiritual power, unable or unwilling to use it. We have 2 episodes, so I thought if this was just one finale, I don't know if we'll get to see Jennifer do anything big, but we have 2 episodes. One of those episodes, you can assume Jennifer is going to come into her own power some more and actually do something major here. That's exciting. She could be one to survive, because the director, Jack Schaefer, did confirm Alice is dead, Lilia's dead, Sharon Hart, whatever her name was, she's dead. So I think, people can assume, oh, it's just going to be Agatha and Billy that survive. I think Jennifer has a chance of surviving this as well. I think she can just make it out. I think we could be done with dead characters minus Aubrey Plaza, who is dead, so she can't be defeated. She can't be killed. she's a cosmic entity. But I think she will be defeated. She will be like pushed away, or she'll be like, she'll retreat or something along those lines. But yeah, so this is what I was talking about here. This is interesting. Well, actually, first of all, it's called Three of Swords: Heartbreak, Sorrow, Grief. This is what I was talking about in terms of like Agatha potentially. We've been saying this all season long. She's been reflecting upon her son. What was her son called again? Something Scratch, Nicholas Scratch.
Yeah.
And she'd been reflecting on Billy, kind of like having that mother-son relationship here. And she has her head over Billy, trying to console him, wake him up, potentially risk her energy to save Billy, which is the opposite. Usually she likes to absorb energy and take it for herself. But there could be a situation where they've grown close enough where she's willing to, risk her power to save Billy. And I think that's a possible scenario here. Jalen was also talking about, because there was a tweet going around that, man, I wish I remembered it, but it was something along the lines of, what if the road was Agatha's, like Agatha all along? What if it was Agatha's visions?
Oh, I read that. Yeah.
I don't think that's happening. There's no chance that's happening, in my opinion. But I quote tweeted it with, it makes more sense. Keep that same logic. What if it's Billy? Like what if it's Billy all along, right? Like the show had been secretly about Billy, and this picture in general reminded me of like Wolverine and Days of Future Past, where they go through Wolverine's head and they go through like his experience through like the past or whatever. The road could be, how do I phrase it? Like it could be Billy's imagination, Billy's, not his hex, but something along that line, where it's like not the actual road, but like Billy's version of the road, even though he's never been on it. But the part that's confusing is that like Agatha's been on the road, presumably so, if you want to take her for her word. And I remember at the beginning of the series, we were like, maybe she hasn't been on the road, but like she hasn't questioned it so far or anything like that. So either she's keeping it to herself that this might not be the road, or this is the actual road and that Billy's just like manipulating it somehow. I'm not sure.
I feel like I would argue that the road is very much real, because there's just so many self-sabotaging circumstances for every character that I don't think they would want the group to know initially about themselves.
Exactly.
So like, perpetuate even towards a greater goal. It just doesn't seem like something they would do.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just a theory. I'm like, okay, it could be because like it seemed like she's trying to like, hey Billy, wake up! Like, come on, get up out of here! Like you're doing something bad. But yeah, Tower reversed. This is all about Billy. Disaster, destruction, sudden upheaval. But reversed, it means miraculous transformation. This easily makes a lot of sense with Billy's character and what he was going through throughout this season in general. Sudden upheaval, dying, but then coming back to life. That transformation. And then destination. This is the execution that I was talking about. So Aubrey Plaza confirmed his death. I think that just the makeup of her face is very cool. The nose, very cool. It's shot from a distance a little bit here. Obviously, this is zoomed in. So I liked her costuming here, and I'm excited to see what it's going to look like. I assume, we get to the finale. We've seen some images from the finale. It's Aubrey Plaza. We don't see like the nose there, the skull thing there. But in general, what?
No, I mean, this is like her true form, but like it's not the one she's walking around in.
Exactly, yeah. What we've seen of her is what we're going to get of her for the most part in the finale. We haven't seen her past 2 episodes, I think. We didn't see her this week, and we didn't see her last week during the Billy episode. So it's been a minute, but I think she'll be a prominent figure, the prominent antagonist, the Green Witch, the death, leading into the finale. she also did confirm that this death won't have any like Thanos stuff going on. So all you Thanos nerds, sorry for your luck.
Going toward Deadpool.
Yeah, right. So that's really cool. It's death, cool reveal. Kind of knew it, but it's very very interesting. Any just in general, I thought it was a fantastic episode. Any any other talking points from the episode or any theories for next week or this week as we get to the finale?
Not really. I'm kind of just like riding. This felt like very like all encompassing of stuff before, but also a beautifully like self-contained revelation for Patty LuPone's character, and she did a marvelous job with her performance here.
Yeah, I agree. Now, I was initially like so bullish on the idea that this show would get any kind of Emmys outside of like makeup and stuff. And I did say earlier, one of these weeks, that like Agatha, Catherine Hahn's character, could get a Best Actress nomination. With this performance from Patty LuPone, you could make the case for a Best Supporting nom next year. It is a long way away, but you can never start too early for Emmy theorizing, Emmy predicting. And I think Patty LuPone, out of all the supporting cast members on the show, I think she's by far doing the best. She had easily the best episode of the season so far. We'll see if episode 7 or episode 8 and 9 can top this. But in general, I think, like you said, Nathan, the self-contained nature of it all, the direction, the editing with the time stuff, the acting from Patty LuPone, very, very well done. And again, I like the ending there. Well, she knows she's dying, and she gives Agatha a hint. And she's like duck or something like that. Like if Agatha, if death says something, like duck or something. So it just prepping her for the final battle, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very gung ho for this finale. This is a series that initially started off like, okay, it's fine, it's cool, but it's growing on me. This series is really growing on me. I'm having a fun time with this show. So I'll see where I would rank this. I think we'll talk about it next week in terms of where I would rank this in terms of overall MCU shows thus far. But I'm telling you guys, this episode really upped the ante as we head into this finale. So yeah, I'm no predictions, but I'm just hopeful. I said like 3 weeks ago, this show sings when we get some great Agatha and Rio moments. We now know Rio is death, so like I want some beautiful Agatha death moments, some allusions to their past relationship, what went wrong there. We know death might genuinely feel bad for what happened in the past, for why they broke up. So that's very exciting as well. And then Billy is kind of like, for all intents and purposes, the star of the show now. In terms of like he always has been like that like supporting character. But he's been very important in this latter half now that he's come to his own as Billy. Will we see Tommy this week? Will we see Scarlet Witch this week? Both are very likely options, more so Tommy. And that's very intriguing. And then what's going to happen with death? It's a cosmic entity. You can't kill her. So what's going to be the solution? I feel like they're going to go for the most emotional conclusion rather than just like physically defeating her. And that's very good in my opinion. So okay, let's jump into the Penguin and then jump into Venom. It's already 11 o'clock. So let's run through this. I very much enjoyed this episode of the Penguin, episode 6. I think we have it is 5. It is 6. Yeah, it's 6. I think this was a very strong episode. The biggest things where we're getting some beautiful character dynamics. So this show is just fucking fantastic when it comes to the character dynamics. I think the dynamic between Penguin, Oz, and Victor is very special in this show. It's heartwarming yet tragic, especially given the ending there. Oz and his mom, heartwarming yet tragic. And then we're getting some interesting Sophia and Sal stuff going on there. Nothing romantically, obviously, but it's like some father-son stuff or father-daughter kind of dynamic in that dinner scene was very cool.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest point for me is that as Oz rises to power here, he has this gold summit. He's rising to power using the power of his words. He's very good at that, the silver tongue there. And he's very sly in getting the people to go together through his own conniving methods. We know the show is the rise of the Penguin. So this part is kind of like it might stick. But what's it going to cost to make this gold summit stick? What is he willing to lose along the way? I think those decisions are going to be happening next week, given what we saw this week with his mother willing to die, wanting to die, actually. And then Victor coming into his own in a darker way, getting his first kill on Squid here. That hug from Penguin. What do you take? Let me just ask you. What do you think of this Oz and Victor relationship as of the ending of this episode?
I think it's genuinely caring. I think, he definitely they're not on the entirely equal wavelength, obviously, because he does assert his authority, like during the scene, like during the breakfast when he's like trying to play into the dementia of his mother, and she's like, "Hey, no," he's like, "Hey, no, stop that! You're making it worse. You had no right to talk about my family."
Yeah.
Like, yeah, okay, and that definitely makes sense. And that was definitely probably wasn't the best move by Victor, but I think he, as we've seen, he genuinely cares for him. That's his true friend out of anybody. That is his closest friend in life at this point.
Yeah, if Oz's closest friend or Victor's closest friend, or maybe both.
Maybe, but no, because he kind of threw away a friendship that he could have gotten out of the game with. But I would say, Oz's for sure. And thinking back to that bathroom breakdown, and like, all right, fine, get out of here. You didn't deserve this life anyway. Like you could tell he was hurt, and then elated when he came back, not just because he saved his ass, but he was just like, I knew I'd sense something in you, and like in the quiet moments, it's not just hype, like he reciprocates that. He like genuinely believes Victor is here for him, and for all intents and purposes of how Victor's been performing, he absolutely is.
Yeah, and Victor really much is here for Oz. He always go back to that line. It's like, you're really in it now, buddy, when he chose to stay with Oz rather than stay with his girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend there. And I knew, given like the beginning of this episode, we see Victor putting a gun in his pants, successfully selling some of the bliss, like he's moving up in the business. Just a quick reference there. You have to assume it's been like a couple of weeks since last episode. Would you agree?
I would say like a couple weeks, not too long though.
Yeah, because they had time to like set up this whole like episode 5 ends and we see like the construction or the discovery. What's up, Orange? How's it going, man? We see the discovery of like the subway tunnels. He's going to use this to elevate his bliss business. And now, starting in this episode, the bliss has overgrown. They had 2 piles, and now it's grown into a more profitable empire or fledgling empire, the beginning of one. So again, things are rising up, but Oz is still struggling. And I think it's these character dynamics that are very special and that are going to continue to be special here. Oz adores, I think he adores Victor. He adores his mom more so, but I think he really likes Victor. And he keeps telling Victor how, hey man, they're going to remember us. They're going to tell stories about us. And this goes into his dream per se, where he wants to be the next, and he talks about this, Rex Calabrese. He wants to be this figurehead in his community that people respect, and not only respect, they remember post-death. I think the scariest thing for a character like Oz, he dies and people forget about him. He has nothing to show for it. I think he wants to become a character, an icon, a legend that people will always remember and tell stories about. And I think everything that he's doing is up to that point, is up to that goal. The funny part is, this is a comic book show, and his legacy as a Penguin is a character that is immortalized. Like Penguin stories, Penguin versus Batman is a dynamic that's going to continue even after our own deaths. Like the Penguin as a character is kind of like as a top 5 Batman villain. He's going to persist for a very long time. So it's in a very meta aspect. That was very funny. But along that same wavelength, Victor crickets. And this is the sad thing here, where Victor's path can go one of two ways, where he dies a very tragic death, which I think could be alluded to in this finale, or in this final scene here with Sophia and the crowbar, alluding to like some Jason Todd shit. I don't think that's gonna happen. If that happens, if we get some live action Jason Todd shit in this show, that would be wild. I don't think it's gonna happen.
I don't think they would, because like if you're gonna have that emotional level of story, they would save it for Bruce and his story.
They save it for who?
Bruce and the actual Jason Todd.
Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, can you imagine next week airs and we get some Game of Thrones level of like, or just a brutal death by Sophia or Sal killing Victor on screen? I mean, that would be kind of like what's his name from The Walking Dead? Who was that one dude? Glenn and Negan. That'd be some Glenn and Negan shit. I don't think they're going to do that, guys. It's just, how wild would that be?
That shit was wild at the time of like the whole Glenn thing, because just before it, there was a week where like Glenn was surrounded by walkers and he hid under a dumpster, and people were like, "Oh, they got him." It's like, "Oh no, he made it. No, he made it for sure." And then like, "Oh, you did make it. All right."
That was so dumb. Not only that, they had Glenn hide under a dumpster and they took a break. It was like a fall break, right? And they came back in the spring.
People also know the comics as well.
Yeah, the second half of the season, he comes back, and that finale of that part of the season is when he actually dies to Negan. I was like, that was part of the end for Game of Thrones, for Walking Dead for me. I'm like, why are you faking this out? And then you're giving this bull crap thing, and then you're just dragging it. It was very dumb. So that was Walking Dead. But yeah, so I don't think that's going to happen with Victor. But I just think it's very important that this episode emphasize Victor's path towards darkness, if you want to call it that. Because I don't want to call it Victor coming into his own, because he's going down a darker path here by getting his first kill on Squid, which I think was, in the context of the show, it was the right move. Squid had to die. He kept asking too many questions. I was like, Victor, you have to kill him. You have to kill him. I was yelling at my TV. I was like, Victor, turn around and just shoot him. Just turn around and shoot him. And that's exactly what he does. It was very cool.
Yeah, and again, it's a situation. I said this with Victor before. It's like, yes, I know the character is going to have to do this awful thing, but it's more so the fact that you feel bad that the character has gotten to a point that he is committing these awful things that he certainly doesn't want to do.
And that exactly, man. And that's the sad part. He's doing things he doesn't want to have to do. He verbally says to Squid's dead body, like, "Why did you make me do that, you idiot? Baka."
Squid sucks anyway, but
exactly. Squid was an awful person. But yeah, he comes to Penguin, that very tender scene where he's like, it was like spoken without words. He's like, "Oh, you came back," and then Penguin looks at him. He's like, it gets easier. And I was like,
well, first it was like, you get away clean. Like, I think
get
so.
away. Yeah.
But then he was reassured.
Which is kind of a dark phrase, right? It gets easier, which is alluding to the fact that like you're gonna have to kill in the future too.
Yeah. That's the thing too, is like, I feel like if Oswald was paying attention, more more so in the scene when he's fixing the generator and Victor's trying to tell him about Squid, that if he was locked in on the conversation because Oz is so busy, he would have been like, then I think you know what you have to do. And he probably would have like teed him up to go do it.
Yeah.
But the fact that he did it on his own, I think Oz is kind of like, looking at this in a new perspective, like, all right, he is, obviously he's a young kid and he's shaken, but like he was willing to do what needed to be done.
Yeah.
In his
Exactly.
eyes. Which is funny too, because I'm like, there's probably a way you could have got Oz to do this for him and be like, hey, he saw your mom, he's threatening your mom.
Yeah.
Go get him.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah.
thought an easy way to get out of this was like, okay, Squid, you want to see the operation? I'll take you to see the operation. They go
Headhunt for
downstairs.
himself.
Yeah, they go down there, and then Oz, somebody just shoots him in the head then. Like, you can take him down to operation, then just kill him there. Like, it didn't matter.
Yeah. Even if it's not, granted they were all like, I think they were all running the bliss at that point, but like
Oh, yeah.
even so, if he would like brought him into the den surrounded by Oz's gang, it would have been like, all right, well, bye.
Yeah, like,
someone's gonna bop you.
yeah, you're dead now, buddy. But yeah, it was just a sad, unavoidable death in Victor's eyes, and Oz consoles him in a dark-ish way. Like, yes, they're getting closer here. Their bond is closer than they ever were before. Oz again really sees Victor in him. You could look at it as like Oz sees like a younger brother in Victor, the brothers that he lost along the way.
Yeah.
And yeah, but it's just very sad that, like you said, this is a path that maybe Victor didn't have to go down, but like Gotham is pushing him. The dark seed of Gotham, the dark aura, the atmosphere of Gotham is pushing him here. And that connects with another plot line in this episode is that, like, we talked about it earlier in the season, but Riddler's whole, disaster in the Batman only affected the bad communities, because the good communities are living with good lights and electricity and power. The bad communities in Crown Point aren't. They're shivering all episode here. They're very cold. Oz has to go confront somebody to, like, hey, turn the power on, like put a thing up his nose. That was very
Yeah.
I would have hated that.
Yeah, man. But I think this will be an interesting finale that we're going to be eventually leading into, and I don't think Victor's going to die. I really don't.
Okay.
I do think Oz's mom's going to die.
I think she has to die.
But I think there's going to be a really like intriguing and fulfilling way that it's going to happen. I don't think it's just going to be like, oh, we got revenge, we killed Oz's mom, now he's pissed and he's the Penguin. And it's like, it's not going to be like that. I think they're going to have a set up situation where they're like, oh, we finally found somebody that Oz truly cares about, and we're going to kill her, but like we're going to probably blackmail him into giving us all of his bliss so that we can be at the top truly, and Oz will truly have nothing left. But because Oz was forced by his mom to make a promise to take her out, and because she's so adamant about him actually like making the moves necessary to be the top dog of Gotham, I think they're both going to be at a mutual understanding where it's like, okay, the time is now. You're going to have to take me out and take all these other fuckers out, and then it's you left. And they're both going to like see it in each other's eyes, and Oz is going to fucking do it. And if either of them survive, Sophia or Sal, then they're going to be like, oh, Jesus, fuck, this guy really does not give a shit about anybody but himself. Fuck, and we really have nothing on this fucking slippery asshole.
Yeah, we have no leverage on this guy. I think I always go back and forth on Victor. I think the tragic route is Victor dies, and that's like a tragic amalgamation of like Oz's rise to power. Or he survives. He could be like the guy that lives and yay. But I think Sophia and Sal, their deaths are on the table. I think Sophia, I always go back and forth on it. I think Sophia, who is so out for revenge, this revenge arc could cost her dearly. Because we know Oz lives. So her idea for revenge has to fail in some way. And I agree with what you're saying. It might fail in the sense that, like, Oz already talked to his mother about dying. her dying. And although he doesn't want to do it, he kind of like understood what she was saying by the end of their conversation after the bathtub sequence, dressing her all up and all that kind of stuff. So there could be a situation where he just kills her himself, even though he doesn't want to do it. And you know, she also has been belittling Oz in terms of like him not being the person that he keeps saying he is, like this big, like powerful guy. He's full of lies and contradictions. And his mom really belittles him for that at times. So we could see that come to a head in the next episode as well. But you know, I think Victor really is going to get tortured next week, and I'm very worried about that. He's not one to like. I don't think he's going to take torture well. And in the previews, it looks like Sophia gets her. What do you even call him now? The ex, not her boyfriend, but like the doctor, who's just like a masochist at this point, is willing to just get naked and have Sophia do whatever she wants with him. But she comes up to him and just says like, "I need your help with something." And I was thinking like he knows a lot of those like torture methods from Arkham that he did to her. And they could use some of those methods on Victor. Less so his mom, but more so on Victor, which I think could be happening here. But yeah, I'm with you. I think the mom in this penultimate episode next week, I think there's only 8 episodes. So in this penultimate episode, I think his mom is gone next week, which is going to be a tragic episode, but an important one for Oz's character. But also before we end this conversation, I liked seeing Sophia's whole conversation with Eve. It was very haunting. Jayla, my brother, kind of predicted that she wouldn't kill Eve because it would go along with like, hey, I don't kill women. That was my father's thing. So I'm not going to kill you either, Eve. But I am going to give you like, you know, great, smart social strategy where you're like, okay, you don't want to give me anything. You're very comfortable with dying. I'm not going to give you that death that you expect from me. But I will let you know that Oz is lying to you. He's not the person that you kind of like, that he's been telling the truth for a while. And she reveals to Eve that Oz never told Eve about how, hey, Sophia is not the hangman. It was Carmine Falcone who's been killing all Eve's best friends, the people that have died that Eve has been very close to. And that shakes Eve. You can see that across her face very well. And right after that sequence, she reveals her, hey, Oz is at Crown Point. I thought she would say, hey, Oz has a mom, and that'll be her clue. But no, she reveals Oz is at Crown Point, which, you know, one bird, two stones there, where she reveals that little birdie, and then she gets there, and Sophia says, oh, Victor and his mom. So she gets 2 things at once. 2 things that Oz cares about. So yeah, I think that was a very smart scene to establish Sophia's character. It's not Sophia's descent into darkness. It's more so Sophia confirming who she is. She is not the hangman. She's not killing women or people needlessly. She's on a revenge path for Oz, people he's connected to, for smart reasons. There was nothing smart about killing Eve. And I think Sophia is just a fantastic character showcase of who Sophia really is. Going against, she's going against who her father was. Even last week, teaming up with Sal, her father would hate that. Along with this week, not killing women, going against what her father wants. So 2 things going against her father, establishing her own identity. Oz has his new Bliss operation. The Gold Summit worked well, but again, I think it's all going to come crumbling down or rising, depending on the outcome of next week. Let's go over to Venom before we leave here. Venom, The Last Stand.
No Eminem in this.
What's that?
No Eminem song in this.
Oh yeah, no Eminem. That's very sad. Very sad.
Real quick, did you stay for both post-credit scenes?
There's 2?
Yeah.
I stayed for one. I stayed for the Noel one.
Okay.
What was the second one?
I'll tell you in a second. Uh,
Lead me into
uh, but okay, yeah. Venom happened.
Venom happened.
I didn't hate it.
I did not have a good time with this movie.
I know you did. I was watching. I was like, I'm not having as much fun as the last one.
It was weird. Like I tweeted out, like this movie just felt dull to me. I think where'd that fucking review? I think Noel was a swing and a miss. This guy, I could hardly understand a word he was saying.
That was a little weird, yeah.
I can't understand a word he was saying. He was looking down. He looked like a PS2 sequence the entire time he was on screen. Didn't look
He's
that great.
mocap, and he doesn't need to be.
He doesn't. Just put Andy Serkis in some makeup or whatever. Like it was weird. Or put somebody else in makeup and then Andy Serkis does the voice. It doesn't matter. It was just weird. I couldn't hear a word he was saying, and I knew this movie was going to be rough. Where the very first sequence of this movie is boom exposition, and I'm like, no. Okay, what's happening here?
I was like, all right, cold open because he's probably not going to be the final boss, but like let's start establishing him right on. All right, let's go.
Yeah, but it was just a lot. I was like, okay, let me get my pen and paper out. Jeez. But yeah, it was just that like he was a dull villain. I thought he would be controlling symbiotes, but he was more so like the antagonist against symbiotes. For some reason, symbiotes when they were created by him, they revolted against him. Locked him up here on this planet. Yeah. And the weird part about this fucking movie is okay, so I'm Noel. I need to escape. I need to find the codex to escape. But to get the codex, I'm only going to know that when a person is fully in the symbiote form. Yeah. And they have to have died already and came back to life for some reason. Fuck?
Yeah, yes, like I think I don't know if it's exclusively the host or what the symbiote, and I think it's the host has to die first and then get resurrected, which is what happened in the first Venom film. Granted, they showed the flashback, and I was like, hey, that's you're building off of something you have. All right, cool. But I will say the idea of like that the creatures cannot track them unless they're in full Venom form. Thus, we now are watching a movie where Venom cannot fully be Venom is really odd choice to have of the third Venom movie, and also just kind of sounds like you're trying to save budget.
It was really weird. So they're trapping themselves narratively. Where it's like, oh yeah, we can't transform in our own Venom movie, which is like you said, very dumb, very weird. But obviously, in the context of stories, they're going to have to get caught eventually. Yeah. But the way to do that was extremely dumb. I'm going to have a dance sequence with Mrs. Chen, and that's how he gets caught.
I like that.
Are you kidding me?
That was stupid. That was very stupid.
That was dumb.
It's very dumb, but I'm like, I like Mrs. Chen. It's dumb, but I like Mrs. Chen. But also, like, if you're not gonna be able to let me have like a full-fledged Venom a lot of the time, then it's like, okay, well then let me have something nice to look at instead of the dry ass desert for 60%.
Dry ass desert with some ugly. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't want to complain about like designs. I think the VFX people, we know how this industry is. It's hard on people. But I just think the designs didn't, not the effects. The effects were fine, but the design just didn't look that appealing or interesting to me. It was just some random alien that ate symbiotes. It didn't seem that threatening. It didn't seem that interesting.
It wasn't an intriguing design to me until I saw like when it eats something, it shreds out the back of their head, and I was like, "That's kind of cool."
That was pretty gnarly. I like that. That was pretty cool.
Like, oh shit! But otherwise, it's like I like the idea that they're kind of like blind without sensing sound or the codex. It's like okay. I I'll say a negative first before the side characters weren't doing it for me. I also missed the other side character. Why couldn't we get Michelle Williams back?
Why couldn't we get Michelle Williams back? I missed her so much. And Nathan, oh my God, I was struggling in my seat when it came to these side characters. I think Rhys Ifans, give him the gold star. He was great. He was goofy, weird, crazy.
Amazing.
But yeah. I liked him. The girl from Ted Lasso, the blonde one.
Juno Temple.
Juno Temple. Awful. Not her performance. I think she was doing whatever, but like her character, the stupid. And let me reiterate this. Stupid. Flashbacks with her brother. Awful.
Yeah, weird tee-up arc. But then also, the couple times we do come back to her, it's like there seems to be a uncharacteristic. I get like she's a scientist obsessed with her work, but it's like, all right, we're talking the end of humanity here. If we got to kill symbiotes, we're gonna do it. Like I understand what Chiwetel Ejiofor is saying.
Completely. So this movie tried to make Chiwetel Ejiofor the villain, and if I'm him, if I'm in his head, hell yes, I'm killing Tom Hardy. You're dead. One person to save everybody else.
I think even the marketing is trying to get me to think he's going to be the villain. But even when I'm watching the movie, I'm like, he seems all right. Even like when like Venom and co are handling things with him, it's like he seems fine. We even like team up with him at the end. So.
Right? Yeah, it's like I wasn't like bothered by him. It's like, hell yeah, I'm gonna email my boss and be like, hey, can you fire this scientist lady who somehow cares for like people who died, and she's like, did you catch the symbiote? Fuck you. Like I just lost some people there. Like, what are you doing here? And then her best friend, weird. She had like some kind of connection to the symbiotes even before the Venom fake out, where it turns out Venom was inside of her in that last scene. It was like even before that, she had like some weird connection to the symbiote. Like, what are we doing? What are you supposed to be teeing up here? It just felt so stupid to me.
It was funny. I was like, is there a contractual obligation to have like a She-Venom cameo in every installment?
I guess so at this point, because that's you could just I was just waiting for it. I was kind of waiting for like, oh, symbiotes are going to get out and they're going to connect with these scientist people, whatever.
I will say, when we got to like the multi-symbiote team up at the end, I thought that was cool. Like that was visually engaging. I liked seeing these different symbiotes like do things, and like the two that like combined into one was really cool. I was like, hey, this is fun. Like, we have a full fucking symbiote family now. Fuck yeah, let's go. And then, like, a couple of them started getting killed off, and I was like, what are you doing? Let me have fun.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of, like, the finale for Iron Man 3. In that sense, we're just like, okay, let's have these toys go out to play. People came in here to see Iron Man suits. Let's do that. And in this case, let's let these Venom symbiotes, let them have their fun against some random aliens. And I agree with you. Again, the action for this entire franchise has never been that bad. I think that was pretty fun and engaging. But at the cost, the symbiotes that they were controlling were some random people that I just didn't care about. There was a hilarious scene, one of the funniest scenes of this movie. There's a security guard named Jim, guys. And Jim is firing off on these symbiote or on these aliens, is not doing well. One of the aliens kills Jim. You hear one of the black scientists be like, oh no, not Jim. And then Jim turns into a symbiote, and it's like supposed to be like this awesome moment. And I'm just like, I don't know who the fuck Jim is.
But you will in Venom 4.
Right?
but also not, because they all perish outside of
yeah, they just died.
One of them, which like I think the whole reason they gave that scientist that side arc about her brother with the lightning thing is just because there's an electric symbiote and we're going to make her this and we need to tee her up to have her.
That had to be it. Because otherwise I was so less than bored. I was just like, why do we keep cutting to her useless ass brother with this horrible ass sob story background that is weird too. We're on a beach and I'm getting struck by lightning. It was so stupid and weird. What's going on?
Which was also funny because then I guess she went into her brother's line of work and it's just like, oh, it should have been him here. But then also she's obsessed about keeping the symbiotes alive over humanity.
Yeah. I don't know.
Listen, I don't know. Was this film? I don't know. Was this film completely reshaped? Because remember those rumors about saving a young Peter Parker?
Wasn't that Madam Web?
No, that was like killing his parents before he's around. There was a rumor that like Eddie is going to be protecting like a 10-year-old Peter Parker.
Oh, I remember that because people thought the boy from the van from the family was Peter Parker or something like that.
Yeah. But again, like one last thing about the electric symbiote is like, I got there and I was like, okay, your character, I have no connection to. Your look is cool though.
Cool.
And that's all I'm asking for at this point in the movie. But hey, let's talk about real quick the journey with Eddie and Venom.
Cool, sure.
Okay, so like
I think real quick, I think they continue to be the highlights of these movies. Very solid dynamic. I didn't think they actually had that much room to grow in this movie alone. Like, while I didn't love the first two movies, I felt like the arcs in those two movies were pretty good, especially, having rewatched Venom 2. Didn't love the movie, but like the whole Venom Eddie breakups thing is goofy, but fun to watch. In this movie, it's like, oh, Eddie, we're going to be separating. And like, I didn't feel that emotional weight of them leaving each other. I didn't feel it. Even the weird musical montage, I wanted to feel it, but like, A, I didn't think they were actually going to do it. And then B, when they did it, I'm like, oh, okay, for now. But like, I didn't feel that weight. How about you?
I felt it because I was imagining me losing my own friend, and I was like, damn, that would be terrible.
Yeah.
And I've been enjoying this performance that Tom Hardy has brought to both roles. I will say, in regards to like the ending and the sacrifice of Venom, I was like, oh my god, this is it is oddly touching. He's like protecting him. He's like putting the door over him, protect from the acid and stuff. I like that he's like grew to like that semi-giant like Spider-Man Web of Shadows video game look.
Oh yeah, big time.
Homogenized Venom. I thought that was really cool. And I was like, I think 2/3 into the movie, and I was like, all right, well, we got to kill these aliens with the acid bath that we saw for one scene.
That was so like contrived and set up. I was like, that random acid bath is gonna happen. Yeah, they're gonna Terminator 2 this thing.
I think I did pick that. Like as soon as I saw it too, I was like, yeah, they're decommissioning the actual Area 51 by melting the facility, and I'm like, okay. Yeah. But I thought it actually made for a really good like final piece in the climax, especially like Venom like grabbing and pulling all of the different creatures with him. But yeah, it's interesting. He goes to New York, and they had like the whole thing, that emotional payoff through line of like going to the Statue of Liberty, which I was like, all right, cool. It's a nice little like send off for Eddie and Venom. But it is funny that I'm remembering, like, I feel like this movie keeps trying to like forget tee-ups from No Way Home, because they're like, oh, maybe I should go to New York and meet this Spider-Man. And then they have a scene in the bar, and he's like, oh, going to New York to the Statue of Liberty might be a good idea since we're on the run. And I'm like, are you just filling in blanks to change the narrative you teed?
I guess so. I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna go along with it. So,
and it's also funny because like they did a thing where he is in the bar. I gotta talk about this because this is always my Sony rant time with these. He's at the bar with the bartender, right, from No Way Home, and then he gets sucked into a portal, which is Null's portal, which isn't the fucking Doctor Strange spell. Why can't Sony get that right ever? And he pops up and it's the same bartender. He just has his hair down. I'm like, all right, that I've now had my answer from the trailer, which I'm like, cool. But then later he's leaving the bar and he leaves a
kind of like
payment for
what
a
I
drink.
said though too?
Kind of, yeah. But that would probably. I think your description sounded a bit more retcon-esque. Like this one was like, okay, it's just a 1-for-1 variant. Fine, that's cool. But then they did a thing, which is like Venom leaves a payment for a drink before he leaves, and there's some symbiote goo on the counter, which is exactly what happened in the other universe. And I'm like, are you retconning? And I think that may have been the case, which would have been lame, but I don't think so, because now the little bit of symbiote that you have left in the actual MCU is the one way you could actually resurrect Venom to bring him back if you want to.
So
which I imagine they will.
So there's still goo in the MCU. Is that what you're saying? I forget.
Yes, that little bit, which is a piece of Venom himself, which if they wanted to, I kind of like the idea of like, since there's like so little bit of Venom left, I think this would work narratively well, that if he does attach to Peter, he can't just, because we see every symbiote that attaches to a human is a full symbiote form, right?
Yeah.
But if it's just that little bit that attaches to Peter, I can see how that would only transform the look of his base suit and not just be a full symbiote. And then go through whatever set storyline there. And then if you go into a situation where Eddie is meeting up with Peter and then the symbiote gets back to him, then he could probably like regenerate and it's the normal Venom again gets reconnected with Eddie, which I imagine is what they will do if they plan to bring him back, which I imagine they probably will, because even though this film isn't performing great in the States, I think it's doing well internationally and people do like Tom Hardy in this role.
Yeah, so I don't think they're going to bring back another Venom movie. I think they've done Venom movies, but him.
I don't think you're going to get Venom 4. Yeah.
I think that's the case, and yeah, it is making money. It has overcome its budget, and I think it's gonna be fine. It's not a flop by any means. It's just okay compared to the rest of the franchise. So let's get into this whole Noel thing to end things off here. Yeah. I just thought he was a very boring antagonist. I don't know why he was even in this movie. He was just there to grunt and give orders, then fail, and then say "You guys really screwed up now." It's like, okay, I don't care.
It's absolutely just to tee up for the actual villainous role in a different movie.
Yeah,
which I'm like, okay. I mean, Thanos wasn't really anything in the first Avengers movie. Arguably, Noel is a bit more than he is in that. But there's a lot of third line. I don't think Sony has the patience nor the capability of stringing along successful films to build up the character of Noel.
They don't, but Noel was so uninteresting that I feel like if you put him in a Spider-Man 4, which is the only other place they can put him, right? Where else can they just put him in? If you're saying Venom's done, where else do you have to go? It has to be Spider-Man 4. And if that's the case, I'm even more worried for Spider-Man 4 because I don't give a shit about this villain, and there's no way they're going to make him a cool villain in Spider-Man 4.
I don't know. But even in granted, I'm not super deep into the knowledge of Null still. I thought he was ruling and commanding symbiotes, not being trapped by them. So unless he makes some new ones, I think he might though, because there's a little Easter egg in this Venom movie that I thought was cool imagery, which is they showed a symbiote's face that has the spiral, and that is a thing from the comics, and I think that is a part of his main army. So if he just makes a new symbiote army that looks like that may be what we're going to be going up against. So it could be interesting. I also still really like the idea of the hive mind with the symbiotes. I think that's cool, and I think that will service the story well in updating stuff with probably Peter if he's wearing the symbiotes to get some inner knowledge of what's going on how the other Spider-Man can help him stop it and whatnot. Maybe all the Spider-Mans will get symbiotes. That would be insane, and also pay off Andrew fights aliens.
Exactly. I have to go here soon. So what was that post-credit scene about that you were alluding to?
Oh, you're gonna fucking love this. So we're back at the wreckage site of the base, and like somebody's stumbling out of the cave. Who's stumbling out of the cave? That's right, Evan. It's the bartender. And he's looking around. He's like, "Oh, what's going on?" And he's like running through the fucking wreckage, and then I shit you not, Evan. We like rack focus away from him to like the foreground to this cockroach. That's you remember that electric vial with like the electric symbiote?
Yeah.
It's like a drop left in there. Cockroach went to go like smell it. Fucking maybe he's gonna attach to the fucking cockroach, and that was it. And I'm like, what the fuck?
What the hell?
I was sitting there and I'm like, what the fuck? Like
I gotta see this.
Morbius is still my most hated post-credit scene because it just pissed me off from a character assassination standpoint for the Vulture. But I was watching this, and this was like I have fun like whenever there's like a fun gag. I don't know if this is like a serious set, but it feels silly because it's a fucking cockroach and a symbiote. Other things I watch and I'm like, oh, funny little post-credit scene. I'm like, haha, I like hearing other people get frustrated because it's funny because I can laugh about it. But I saw this and I was like, damn, I do feel like I wasted my fucking time sitting here.
I bet it sounds really bad. It sounds really bad. But yeah, overall, this movie just didn't. It just didn't work for me. But it had some fun moments, and then I think just the biggest highlight was just Eddie and Venom and their connection. It didn't hit emotionally as much as I wanted to, but it was still there, and it was still a fun time seeing them struggle together.
Yeah, I'm kind of I think I'm kind of 50-50 because I still prefer Let There Be Carnage, but there are elements of this I like more than the first Venom movie. But then like Venom and his like Eddie and his side characters like Michelle Williams and whatnot in the first Venom movie is probably who I most want to be spending time watching as opposed to these scientists. But then I'm like Riot the symbiote was kind of boring, and like these multiple symbiote scientists fighting these creatures, I'm like I'm a bit more engaged here. So it's like it's a toss up.
Yeah, but for now I might just go Venom 2, 1, then 3. That might be the route. Which is crazy because I didn't love the one we watched last week, Venom 2, but in hindsight, I'm like, maybe it is just slightly better, just on a fun angle.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about it here. I gotta head out. But yeah, that was it for the Venom franchise. So we'll see what's next for Sony and any more news about Spider-Man 4 if anything changes. So yeah, and there was a couple of news stories that we didn't get to today. It was a packed week last week. So we'll see if we can squeeze it in for next week as well. But yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter, Harris EV9. I'll be reacting and giving my thoughts on WandaVision, on Agatha All Along on Wednesday night. So we'll be talking about that. And yeah, we might be watching a Halloween movie tomorrow. I'll hit you up if I have time. But yeah, either today or tomorrow, Wednesday, we'll figure it out. Because it is Halloween week. So yeah, but yeah, I'll be reacting to the Penguins penultimate episode, Agatha finale, all the good stuff. Catch me watching all the anime as usual. Again, Harris EV9. What about you, Nathan?
You can follow me at _TimeBlazer, making a show called Time Blazer with co-star and creative consultant Evan Harris.
Playing Ben, who I think, wouldn't be that big of a fan of Venom 3 either. I think he would call it mid.
He's probably watching Haikyuu.
Probably. That's probably the move.
Yeah. So that being said, if you guys enjoyed this picture, like, button, subscribe, not already. Ring the bell so you miss coverage on all things movie and TV. And that being said, hope you have a great day. Catch you guys next time.